Tyler the Gamer, thanks for coming in, man. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? And when I say head, I'm referring to your mental state. Hope you're doing good. Last Druid, how's it going, brother? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you, man. How's your head? Just getting ready to fix mine. Got a disposable at the Dispo. They had a good price on it. It's a nice brand, strain, and it's a sativa, which I don't come across often at a decent price, at least, on at my Dispo of choice. I hear you, brother. I understand it goes, man. It goes. So, if you're new to me, please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it if you haven't already. And I am finally put up part 3 of the book by Miriam Allen DeFord called The Facts About Fascism. Part 4, I think, is the final fart. Boy, I did it, didn't I? It is the final part. I wish Dude was here for that. Dude, were you here for that? The final fart? The final part? Chapter 4 is the final one. I think. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, contract. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I do believe. Because there is a chapter here that is just references to books written at that time. Which, well, maybe not. Who knows? It's been a little bit since I read the back chapters, so I don't know. David Bowman, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Yeah, so that's the current book I'm putting up on the YouTube channel. Seems to be a pretty hot topic for the current times. But this was written in May of 1926. And this is right in the midst of fascism, while Mussolini was still in power in Italy. And before the Second World War. So, right there in the heart of it. So, it gives you the facts about what's going on with fascism right there where it was made. It's a pretty good one so far. And then after that, I'm going to do another Miriam Allen Ford. It's the one that follows in line. It is Little Blue Book number 1088, as that was 1087. The Truth About Mussolini, written by Miriam Allen DeFord. And so that will be the one after that. So if you're new, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Peruse my videos, and if you partake in cannabis, then you're really gonna like it. Mason Burger King. Oh, dude, you make good burgers, or are you just a fan of Burger King? Because I do appreciate someone who can throw down a good burger. Anyhow, so tonight we are reading from the Book of Lamb. Let me get my fat fingers out of the way. From the Book of Lamb, written by Christopher Moore. Fan? Oh, that's excellent. Just as good. Written by Christopher Moore. If you like what you hear tonight, not my voice, but the book, and if you like what you hear out of my voice, go buy the book in some form or another. Buy it on audio, paperback, whatever, whatever you prefer, but go buy the book. It's a really good book. And so yeah, what time is it? That's a what time is it? That's a rhetorical question. I don't have my clock right here. Let's see. Okay, 10:05. So we're still good. I generally start reading at 10:10, but I may. Soul of Cebus. You're high and confused. Well, first thing is take a deep breath. The confusion will go away. It'll be okay. you're now an astronaut, as that funny feller on TikTok says. Space cadet. And is this your first ride, or are you familiar? Well, you know the drill. Grab some popcorn, some snacks, your favorite apparatus for fixing that head. And those are just in. Love and appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. How's your head? Mine's pretty good. So that's what's coming up. Facts About Fascism is the current book being put up on the YouTube channel. I have probably a part 4, possibly a part 5 to add yet. And then after that, we're going to do another Miriam Allen DeFord, the truth about Mussolini. Miriam Allen DeFord was a writer in the early part of the 19th century. And she was a staunch anti-fascist, anti-Nazi, anti-Hirohimaism. She was a big anti-ism. So she wrote a lot about them. And that's why she was picked by Mr. Heidelmann Julius to write these 2 books. I always wonder about the author of these books because they're always so varied. Hey, a cannabis conqueror. Well, then you're fully, you know exactly what's going on. Yeah, the confusion, smoke another. That'll help. But what is our time, kids? Let me see. All right, so go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And, okay. Let me see. Oh, my Pirates are losing by 1. They were doing so good. Hopefully we'll pull it out. All right. Time check, kids. 10:08. Well, I think I'm ready to get started. I don't think it's really going to bother. Is everybody here? Maybe not. I only see one up there. Are all the regulars in the house? So here we go. Soul of Cebus. Am I pronouncing that right? Cebus. So no, I better wait because I traditionally 10:10. So we'll wait for another 2 minutes. So we will. I think I have this one up. This is one I'll put up at some point. It doesn't have a cover anymore. I received it that way. History of the Modern Christian Church. Now, I believe I have it up on the YouTube channel, but I couldn't. No, I don't think I do. This is a strange one. I received it in a collection. I often buy collections of these on eBay, and my brain is distracted with this book right now. And this is one of the ones I received in a collection, and it doesn't have the cover. Let me see. It doesn't have a copyright date, nor does it have an author that is credited with it. It doesn't even have the typical E. Heidelmann, published by E. Heidelmann Julius Company, edited. But on the last few pages, which is customary for a little blue book, is the list of other little blue books that you could order by mail, and that's several pages. So I'm gonna have to look this one up. There is a website. There is a website on the internet, and it has a whole list of these buggers. And I'll have to look that one up and see what one it is, because I don't believe I have it. I have mine categorized, but I don't have them cataloged by title. I have them cataloged by their number. So I'd have to read through all 1,500 of them through my spreadsheet. I'm not doing that. So, all right, here we go. I'm pretty sure it is now 10:10. Let's see. Oh, yeah, look at that. Right in a dot. 10:10. All right, kids. We're going to get her started. So, we're reading from the Book of Lamb. And we left off at page 104. So, I'm going to go back a little bit. Just a bit about a paragraph. And start. So, here we go. So, I told Joshua. And on the night before Maggie's wedding, the night before we were to leave on our journey, Joshua, wait a minute. Okay, that doesn't seem to make sense unless I read something else. Here it is. Okay, we'll just go back a little bit more. And this is Maggie talking to Biff about Joshua. Tell him to meet me behind the synagogue, Biff, the night before my wedding, an hour after sunset. I'm not sure, Maggie. Tell him, she said. She ran back to the well without looking back. So, I told Joshua. And on the night before Maggie's wedding, the night before we were to leave on our journey, Joshua packed some bread and cheese and a skin of wine and told me to meet him by the date palms in the square where we would share supper together. You have to go, Joshua said. I'm going in the morning, when you do. What? You think I'd back out now? No, tonight. You have to go to Maggie. I can't go. What? I mean, why? Sure, I'd be heartbroken when Maggie had asked to see Joshua and not me, but I'd come to terms with it. Well as one ever could come to terms with an ongoing heartbreak. You have to take my place, Biff. There's almost no moon tonight, and we're about the same size. She just don't say much just don't say much and she'll think it's me. Maybe not as smart as normal, but she can put that down to worry over the upcoming journey. I'd love to see Maggie, but she wants to see you. Why can't you go? You really don't know? Not really. Then just take my word for it. You'll see. Will you do this for me, Biff? Will you take my place? Pretend to be me? That would be lying. You'd never lie. Now you're getting righteous on me. I won't be lying. You will be. Oh. In that case, I'll go. But there wasn't even time to deceive. It was so dark that night that I had to make my way slowly through the village by starlight alone. And as I rounded the corner to the back of our small synagogue, I was hit with a wave of sandalwood and lemon and girl sweat. A warm skin, a wet mouth over mine, arms around my back and legs around my waist. I fell backward on the ground, and there was in my head a bright light, and the rest of the world existed in the senses of touch and smell and God. There, on the ground behind the synagogue, Maggie and I indulged desires we had carried for years, mine for her, and hers for Joshua. That neither of us knew what we were doing made no difference. It was pure, and it happened, and it was marvelous. And when we finished, we lay there holding each other, half-dressed, breathless, and sweating. And Maggie said, I love you, Joshua. I love you, Maggie, I said, and ever so slightly, she loosened her embrace. I couldn't marry Jackin I couldn't let you go without letting you know. He knows, Maggie. Then she really pulled away. Biff? Uh-oh. I thought she might scream, that she might leap up and run away, that she might do any one of 100 things to take me from heaven to hell. But after only a second, she nuzzled close to me again. Thank you for being here, she said. We left at dawn, and our fathers walked with us as far as the gates of Sepphoris. When we parted at the gates, my father gave me a hammer and chisel to carry with me in my satchel. With that, you can make enough for a meal anywhere you go, my father said. Joseph gave Joshua a wooden bowl. Out of that, you can eat the meal that Biff earns. He grinned at me. By the gates of Sepphoris, I kissed my father for the last time. By the gates of Sepphoris, we left our fathers behind and went out into the world to find 3 wise men. All right, let me hydrate, kids. Biff, you better take the deal. It's a better one than you know. Better one now than it is later. Nice, dude. Yeah. All right. Last Druid, that's it. My brain blanked out. Now, where was I? Oh, okay. Come back, Joshua, and make us free, Joseph shouted to our backs. Go with God, my own father said. I am, I shouted. He's right here. Joshua said nothing until the sun was high in the sky, and we stopped to share a drink of water. Well, Joshua said, did she know it was you? Yes. Not at first, but before we parted, she knew. Was she angry at me? No. Was she angry at you? I smiled. No. You dog, he said. You really should ask that angel what he meant about you not knowing a woman, Joshua. It's really important. You know now why I couldn't go? Yes. Thanks. I'll miss her, Joshua said. You have no idea, I said. Every detail. I want to know every detail. But you aren't supposed to know. That's not what the angel meant. Tell me. Not now. Not while I can still smell her on my arms. Joshua kicked at the dirt. Am I angry with you, or happy for you, or jealous of you? I don't know. Tell me. Josh, right now, for the first time I can remember, I'm happier being your friend than I would be being you. Can I have that? Now, thinking about that night with Maggie behind the synagogue, where we stayed together until it was nearly dawn, where we made love again and again and fell asleep naked on top of our clothes. Now, when I think of that, I want to run away from here. This room, this angel and his task, find a lake, dive down, and hide from the eye of God in the dark muck on the bottom. Strange. That's the end of chapter, whatever that was. It's the end of part 1. Oh, it's chapter 8. That's the end of part 1 and the end of chapter 8. Part 2 is Change. That's what it's titled. And it has a quote by John Prine. And the quote is, Jesus was a good guy. He didn't need this shit. John Prine was smart. Prine. Okay, chapter 9. Wait. Hydrate, kids. That's what we do. Alright. I should have had a plan before I tried to escape from the hotel room. I see that now. At the time, dashing out the door and into the arms of sweet freedom seemed like plan enough. I got as far as the lobby. It's a fine lobby, as grand as any palace. But in the way of freedom, I needed more. I noticed before Raziel dragged me back into the elevator, nearly dislocating my shoulder in the process, that there were an inordinate number of old people in the lobby. In fact, compared to my time, there are inordinate numbers of old people everywhere. Well, not on TV, but everywhere else. Have you people forgotten how to die? Or have you used up all the young people on television so there's nothing left but gray hair and wrinkled flesh? In my time, if you had seen 40 summers, it was time to start thinking about moving on, making room for the youngsters. If you lasted to 50, the mourners would give you dirty looks when they passed, as if you were purposely trying to put them out of business. The Torah says that Moses lived to be 120 years old. I'm guessing that the children of Israel were following him just to see when he would drop. There was probably betting. If I do manage to escape the angel, I'm not going to be able to make my living as a professional mourner. Not if people don't have the courtesy to die. Just as well, I suppose. I'd have to learn all new dirges. I've tried to get the angel to watch MTV so I can learn the vocabulary. Of your music. But even with the gifts of tongues, I'm having trouble learning to speak hip-hop. Why is it that one can bust a rhyme or bust a move anywhere, but you must bust a cap in someone's ass? Is hoe always feminine? And motherfucker always masculine? While bitch can be either? How many peeps in a posse? How many booty before baby got back? Do you have to be all that to get up in that? And do I need to be dope and fat to beat a bomb? Or can I just be stupid? I'll not be singing over any dead mothers until I understand. The journey, the quest, the search for the Magi. We traveled first to the coast. Neither Joshua nor I had ever seen the sea before, so as we topped a hill near the city of Ptolemais, and the endless aquamarine of the Mediterranean stretched before us, Joshua fell to his knees and gave thanks to his father. You can almost see the edge of the world, Joshua said. I squinted into the dazzling sun, really looking for the edge of the world. It looks sort of curved, I said. What? Joshua scanned the horizon, but evidently he didn't see the curve. The edge of the world looks curved. I think it's round. What's round? The world. I think it's round. Of course it's round, like a plate. If you go to the edge, you fall off. Even sailors know that, Joshua said with great authority. Not round like a plate, round like a ball. Don't be silly, Joshua said. If the world was round like a ball, then we would slide off of it. Not if it's sticky, I said. Joshua lifted his foot and looked at the bottom of his sandal, then at me, then at the ground. Sticky? I looked at the bottom of my own shoe, hoping to perhaps see strands of stickiness there, like melted cheese tethering me to the ground. When your best friend is the Son of God and you get tired of losing every argument, just because you can't see it doesn't mean the world is not sticky. Joshua rolled his eyes. Let's go swimming. He took off down the hill. What about the God? I asked. We can't see him. Joshua stopped halfway down the hill and held his arms out to the shining aquamarine sea. You can't? That's a crappy argument, Josh. I followed him down the hill, shouting as I went. If you're not going to try, I'm not going to argue with you anymore. So, what if the stickiness is like God? You know, how he abandons our people and leads them into slavery whenever we stop believing in him? Stickiness can be like that. You could float off into the sky any time now because you don't believe in stickiness. It's good that you have something to believe in, Biff. I'm going into the water. He ran down the beach, shredding his clothes as he went, then dove into the surf, naked. Later, after we both swallowed more salt water to make us sick, we headed up the coast to the city of Ptolemais. I didn't think it would be so salty, Joshua said. Spy, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? All right. Yeah, I said. You'd never know it by looking at it. Are you still angry about your round earth stickiness theory? I don't expect you to understand, I said, sounding very mature. I thought, you being a virgin and all. Joshua stopped and grabbed my shoulder, forcing me to wheel around and face him. The night you spent with Maggie, I spent praying to my father to take away the thoughts of you two. He didn't answer me. It was like trying to sleep on a bed of thorns. Since we left, I was begging to forget, or at least leave it behind. But you keep throwing it in my face. You're right, I said. I forgot how sensitive you virgins can be. Then, once again, and not for the last time, the Prince of Peace cold-cocked me. A bony stonecutter's fist just over my right eye. He hit harder than I remembered. I remember white seabirds in the sky above me, and just a wisp of clouds across the sky. I remember the frothy surf sloshing over my face, leaving sand in my ears. I remember thinking that I should get up and smite Josh upside the head. I remember thinking then that if I got up, Josh might hit me again. So I lay there for a moment, just thinking. So, what do you want? I said finally, from my wet and sandy supinity. I think that's supposed to be stupidity. Supinity. He stood over me with his fist balled. If you're going to keep bringing it up, you have to tell me the details. I can do that. And don't leave anything out. Nothing? I've got to know if I'm going to understand sin. Okay. Can I get up? My ears are filling with sand. He helped me to my feet, and as we entered the seaside city of Ptolemais, I taught Josh about sex. Down narrow stone streets between high stone walls. Well, most of what we learned from the rabbis was not exactly accurate. Past men sitting outside their houses, mending their nets, children selling cups of pomegranate juice, women hanging strings of fish from windows to window to dry. For instance, you know that part right after Lot's wife gets turned into stone, and then his daughters get drunk and fornicate with him? Right, after Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Well, that's not as bad as it sounds, I said. We passed Phoenician women who sang as they pounded dried fish into meal. We passed evaporation pools where children scraped the encrusted salt from the rocks and put it into bags. But fornication is a sin. And fornication with your daughters, well, that's a double dog sin. Yeah, but if you put that aside for a second and you just focus on the two young girls aspect of it, it's not nearly as bad as it sounds initially. Oh. We passed merchants selling fruit and bread and oil, spices and incense, calling out claims of quality and magic in their wares. There was a lot of magic for sale in those days. And the King of Solomon, that's a lot closer. And you can sort of understand Solomon having 1,000 wives. In fact, with you being the son of God and all, I don't think you'd have any problem getting that many girls. I mean, after you figure out what you're doing. And a lot of girls is a good thing. You're a ninny, aren't you? I thought you'd be more specific. What does Maggie have to do with the Lot and Solomon? I can't tell you about me and Maggie, Josh. I just can't. We were passing a lick of prostitutes gathered outside the door of an inn. Their faces were painted, their skirts slid up the side to show their legs glistening with oil, and they called to us in foreign languages and made tiny dances with their hands as we passed. What the hell are they saying? I asked Joshua. He was better with languages. I think they were speaking Greek. They said something about how they like Hebrew boys because we can feel a woman's tongue better without our foreskins. He looked at me as if I might confirm or deny this. How much money do we have? I asked. The inn rents rooms, stalls, and space under the eave to sleep. We rented 2 adjacent stalls, which was a bit of a luxury for us, but an important one for Joshua's education. After all, weren't we on this journey so he could learn to take his rightful place as the Messiah? I'm not sure if I could watch, Joshua said. Remember, David was running over the roofs and happened into Bathsheba's in her bath. That's set a whole chain of sin in motion. But listening won't be a problem. I don't think it's the same thing. And are you sure you don't want to try this yourself, Josh? I mean, the angel was never clear about your being with a woman. To be honest, I was a little frightened myself. My experience with Maggie hardly qualified me to be with a harlot. No, you go ahead. Just describe what's happening and what you're feeling. I have to understand sin. Thank you for doing this for me, Biff. Not just for you, Josh, for our people. So, that's how we ended up with the 2 stalls. Josh would be in one while I, along with the harlot of my choice, instructed him from the other in the fine art of fornication. Back out at the front of the inn, I shopped for my teaching assistant. It was an 8 harlot inn, if that's how you measure an inn. I understand that now they measure inns in stars. We are in a 4-star inn right now. I don't know what the conversion from harlots to stars is. You have to find out in Vegas. Anyway, there were 8 harlots outside the inn that day. They ranged in age from only a few years older than us, to older than our mothers. And they ran the gamut of shapes and sizes, having in common only that they were all highly painted and well oiled. They're also so nasty looking. They're harlots, Biff. They're supposed to be nasty looking. Pick one. Let's go look at some different harlots. We had been standing a few doors down from the harlots, but they knew we were watching. I walked over and stopped close to a particularly tall harlot and said, "Excuse me, do you know where we might find a different selection of harlots? No offense. It's just that my friend and I..." And she pulled open her blouse, exposing full breasts that were glistening with oil and flecks of mica. And she threw her skirt aside and stepped up so a long leg slid behind me. And I could feel the rough hair between her legs grinding against my hip, and her rough nipples brushed my cheek. And in that instant, profound wood did from my person protrude. This one would be fine, Josh. Yeah, this'll work. The other harlots let loose with an exhilaration of utilation as we led my harlot away. You know utilation as the sound of an ambulance makes. That I get an erection every time one passes the hotel would seem morbid if you didn't know this story of how Biff hires a harlot. The harlot's name was Set. She was a head and a half taller than me, with skin the color of a ripe date, wide brown eyes flecked with gold, and hair so black that it reflected blue in the dim light of the stable. She was the perfect harlot design, wide where a harlot should be wide, narrow where a harlot should be narrow, delicate of ankle and neck, sturdy of conscience, intrepid and single-minded of goal once she was paid. She was an Egyptian, but she had learned Greek and a little Latin to help lubricate the discourse of her trade. Our situation required more creativity than she seemed accustomed to, but after a heavy sigh, she mumbled something about, if you fuck a Hebrew, make room in the bed for his guilt. Then pulled me into my stall and closed the gate. Yes, the stalls were used for animals. There was a donkey in the stall opposite Josh's. So, what's she doing? Josh asked. She's taking my clothes off. What now? She's taking off her clothes. Oh, geez. Ouch. What? Are you fornicating? No. She's rubbing her whole body over mine. Sort of lightly. When I try to move, she smacks me in the face. How does it feel? How do you think? It feels like someone's smacking you, you twit. I mean, how does her body feel? Do you feel sinful? Is it like Satan rubbing against you? Does it burn like fire? Yeah, you got it. That pretty much has it. You're lying. Oh, wow. Then Josh said something in Greek that I did not catch all of, and the harlot answered, sort of. What did she say? Josh asked. I don't know. You know, my Greek is bad. Mine isn't. I couldn't understand what she said. Her mouth is full. Set raised up. Not full, she said in Greek. Hey, I understood that. She has you in her mouth? Yeah, that's heinous. It doesn't feel heinous. It doesn't? No, Josh, I gotta tell you, this is really, oh my God. What? What's happening? She's getting dressed. Are you done sinning? That's it? The harlot said something in Greek that I didn't understand. What did she say? I asked. She said that for the amount of money we gave her, you're finished. Do you think you understand fornication now? Not really. Well then, give me some more money, Joshua. We're going to stay here until you learn what you need to know. That's dedication for your friend right there. All right. Let me pause because we turned the page. That was a good stopping point. And let me check time. Ooh, 10:38. All right, so we got a little bit of time. Let me hydrate because, you know, shit get dry. Move my timepiece thing over here. Biff. All right. So, wait a minute. A little more hydration. There we go. Okay. Here we go. You're a good friend to suffer this for me. Don't mention it. No, really, Joshua said. Greater love hath no man than he lay down for his friend. That's a good one, Josh. You should remember that one for later. The harlot then spoke at length. You want to know what this is like for me, kid? This is like a job, which means that if you want it done, you need to pay for it. That's what it's like. Joshua would translate for me later. What'd she say? I asked. She wants the wages of sin, which are, in this case, 3 shekels. That's a bargain. Pay her. Much as I tried, and I did try, I didn't seem able to convey to Joshua what it was he wanted to know. I went through a half dozen more harlots and a large portion of our traveling money over the next week, but he still didn't understand. I suggested that perhaps this was one of the things that the magician Balazar was supposed to teach Joshua. Truth be told, I developed a burning sensation when I peed, and I was ready for a break from tutoring my friend in the fine art of sinning. It's a week or less by sea if we go to Seleucia. Then it's less than a day's walk inland to Antioch, Joshua said, after he had been talking to some sailors who were drinking at the inn. Overland, it's 2 to 3 weeks. By sea, then, I said. Pretty brave, I thought, considering I'd never set foot in a boat in my life. We found a wide-beamed, raised-stern Roman cargo ship bound for Taurus. That would stop at all the ports along the way, including Seleucia. The ship's master was a wiry, hatchet-faced Phoenician named Titus Inventius, who claimed to have gone to sea when he was 4 and sailed to the edge of the world twice before his balls dropped. Although, what one had to do with the other, I never figured out. "What can you do? What's your trade?" Titus asked, from under a great straw hat he wore, while watching the slaves load jars of wine and oil onto the ship. His eyes were black beads, set back in caves of wrinkles formed by a lifetime of squinting into the sun. "Well, I'm a stonemason, and he's the son of God." I grinned. I thought that would give us more diversity than just saying we were 2 stonemasons. Titus pushed his straw hat back on his head and looked Joshua up and down. "Son of God, huh? How's that pay?" Joshua scowled at me. "I know stonework and carpentry, and we both have strong backs. There's not a lot of call for stonework aboard a ship. Have you been to sea before?" "Yes," I said. "No," Joshua said. "He was sick that day," I said. "I've been to sea." Titus laughed. "Fine. You can go help get those jars on board. I'm taking a load of pigs as far as Sidon. You two keep them calm and keep them alive in the heat, and by that time, maybe you'll be something to me. Something of use to me. But it costs you as well." "How much?" Joshua said. "How much of you have?" 5 shekels, I said. 20 shekels, Joshua said. I elbowed the Messiah in the ribs hard enough to bend him over. 10 shekels, I said. 5 each. I meant before when I said 5. I felt as if I was negotiating with myself and not doing that well. "Then 10 shekels plus any work I can find for you. But if you puke on my ship, you're over the side. You hear me? 10 shekels or not." "Absolutely," I said, pulling Joshua down the dock to where the slaves were loading jars. When we were out of earshot of Captain Titus, Joshua said, "You have to tell him that we're Jews. We can't tend pigs." I grabbed one of the huge wine jars by the ears and started to drag it toward the ship. "It's okay, they're Roman pigs. They don't care." "Oh, all right," Joshua said, latching onto a jar of his own and hoisting it onto his back. Then it hit him, and he set the jar down. "Hey, wait! That's not right!" The next morning, we sailed with the tide. Joshua, me, a crew of 30, Titus, and 50 alleged Roman pigs. Until we cast off from the dock, Joshua and I manning one of the long oars, and we were well out of the harbor until we had shipped the oars and the great square sail was ballooned over the deck like the belly of a gluttonous genie. Until Joshua and I climbed to the rear of the ship where Titus stood on the raised deck, manning one of the 2 long steering oars, and I looked back toward land and could see not a city, but a speck on the horizon. Until then, I had no idea that I had a deep-seated fear of sailing. "We are way too far from land," I said. "Way too far. You really need to steer closer to the land, Titus." I pointed to the land, in case Titus was unaware of to which way he should go. It makes sense, don't you think? I mean, I grew up in an arid country, inland, where even the rivers are little more than damp ditches. My people come from the desert. The one time we actually had to cross the sea, we walked. Sailing seemed, well, unnatural. If the Lord had meant us to sail, we would have been born both with masts, I said. "That's the dumbest thing you've ever said," said Joshua. "Can you swim?" asked Titus. "No," I said. "Yes, he can," Joshua said. Titus grabbed me by the back of the neck and threw me over the stern of the ship. That was rude. That's the end of the chapter 9. We may stop there. Oh, man, you guys are lucky. It's only 10:45, or I'd stop there. But we're going to go on, chapter 10. All right. The angel and I had been watching a movie about Moses. Raziel was angry because there were no angels in it. Not one in the movie looked like any Egyptian I ever met. Did Moses look like that? I asked Raziel, who was worrying the crust off of a goat cheese pizza in between spitting vitriol at the screen. No, said Raziel, but that other fella looks like Pharaoh. Really? Yep, said Raziel. He slurped the last of a Coke through a straw, making a rude noise, then tossed the paper cup across the room into the wastebasket. So you were there during the Exodus? Right before I was in charge of Locust. How was that? Didn't care for it. I wanted the plague of frogs. I like frogs. I like frogs too. You wouldn't have liked the plague of frogs. Stephen was in charge. A seraphim. He shook his head as if I should know some sad inside fact about seraphim. We lost a lot of frogs. I suppose it's for the best, though, Raziel said with a sigh. You can't have a someone who likes frogs bringing a plague of frogs. If I'd done it, it would have been more of a friendly gathering of frogs. Well, that wouldn't have worked, I said. Well, it didn't work anyway, did it? I mean, Moses, a Jew, thought it up. Frogs were unclean to Jews. To the Jews, it was a plague. To the Egyptians, it was like having a big feast of frog legs drop from the sky. Moses missed it on that one. I'm just glad we didn't listen to him on the plague of pork. Really? He wanted to bring down a plague of pork? Pigs falling from the sky? Pig pieces. Ribs, hams, feet. He wanted everything bloody. You know, unclean pork and unclean blood. The Egyptians would have eaten the pork. We talked him down just to the blood. Are you saying that Moses was a dimwit? I wasn't being ironic when I asked this. I was aware that I was asking the eternal dimwit of them all. Still. No, he just wasn't concerned with the results, said the angel. The Lord had hardened Pharaoh's heart against letting the Jews go. He could have dropped oxen from the sky, and he wouldn't have changed his mind. That would have been something to see, I said. I suggested that it rained fire, the angel said. How'd that go? It was pretty. We only had it rain on the stone palaces and monuments. Burning up all the Jews wouldn't sort of defeated the purpose. Good thinking, I said. Well, I'm good with weather, said the angel. Yeah, I know, I said. Then I thought about it a second. About how Raziel nearly wore out our poor room service waiter. Jesus. Delivering orders of ribs that day they were the special. You didn't suggest fire initially, did you? You just suggested that it rained barbecued pork, didn't you? That guy doesn't look anything like Moses, the angel said. That day, thrashing in the sea, trying to swim to catch the merchant ship that plowed through the water under full sail, I first saw that Raziel was, as he claimed, good with weather. Joshua was leaning over the aft rail of the ship, shouting alternately to me, then to Titus. It was pretty obvious that even under the light wind that day, I would never catch the ship. And when I looked in the direction of shore, I could see nothing but water. Strange, the things you think of at times like that. What I thought first was, What an incredibly stupid way to die. Next, I thought, Joshua will never make it without me. And with that, I began to pray, not for my own salvation, but for Joshua. I prayed for the Lord to keep him safe. Then I prayed for Maggie's safety and happiness. Then, as I shrugged off my shirt and fell into the slow crawl in the direction of the shoreline, which I knew I would never see, the wind stopped. Just stopped. The sea flattened, and the only sound I could hear was the frightened cries of the crew of Titus's ship, which had stopped in the water, as if it had dropped anchor. "Biff, this way!" Joshua called. I turned in the water to see my friend waving to me from the stern of the becalmed ship. Beside him, Titus cowered like a frightened child on the mast, period. On the mast above them sat a winged figure, who, after I swam to the ship and was hoisted out by the very frightened bunch of sailors, I recognized as the angel Raziel. Unlike the times when we had seen him before, he wore robes as black as pitch, and the feathers of his wings shone the blue-black of the sea under moonlight. As I joined Joshua on the raised poop deck at the stern of the ship, the angel took wing and gently landed on the deck beside us. Titus was shielding his head with his arms, as if to ward off an attacker, and he looked as if he was trying to dissolve between the deck boards. "You," Raziel said to Phoenician, and Titus looked up between his arms. "No harm's to come to these two." Titus nodded, tried to say something, then gave up when his voice broke under the weight of his fear. I was a little frightened myself. Decked out in black, the angel was a fearsome sight, even if he was on our side. Joshua, on the other hand, seemed completely at ease. "Thank you," Josh said to the angel. "He's a cur, but he's my best friend." "I'm good with weather," the angel said, and as if that explained everything, he flapped his massive black wings and lifted off the deck. The sea was dead calm until the angel was out of sight over the horizon. Then the breeze picked up, the sails filled, and waves began to lap at the bow. Titus ventured a peek from his coward position, then stood up slowly and took one of the steering oars under his arm. "I'm going to need a new shirt," I said. "You can have mine," Titus said. "We should sail closer along the coast, don't you think?" I said. "On the way, good master," Titus said. "On the way." "Your mother eats the fungus from the feet of lepers," I said. "I've been meaning to speak to her about that," Titus said. "So, we understand each other," I said. "Absolutely," Titus said. "Crap," Joshua said. "I forgot to ask the angel about knowing women again." Boop. Ooh, 10:53. That's where we're stopping. Let me mark that. That's where we're stopping for tonight. Nope, that's not the one I want. Oh, I had a pen that I could mark with. Oh, there it is. Boy, I almost went into the Brady Bunch tune in my head. Thank God I did not. Okay. That's where we stopped. Boom. That's where we're stopping tonight. Alright, kids. That's tonight's reading of the Book of Lamb, written by Christopher Moore. Very good book. Please go out and purchase it in whatever format you prefer. But a very good book. And I am going to go, and I believe I'm going to have an ice cream treat. Yeah, my brain is distracted and high. All right, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in and listening, and I'll see you next week.